Cathy, Lawson and Alison, Burgess, and we're really excited to do our first live. We wanted to run this series of events to talk to people about resilience and how they've coped with adversity. And it's all about really raising awareness and helping and supporting others to build their resilience. So we thought we would start doing something which absolutely we believe in, which is about stepping outside of our comfort zone. And, so we thought to start these sessions off before we get people in to speak, we thought it'd be good for us to position really about resilience, a bit about our background and how it came to be, really. And I guess, Alison, you've had a number of times in your life, you've had to have quite a strong sense of resilience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as Cathy said, as you're saying here, it's about giving a bit of context to this. So let's go with things like redundancy, changing jobs. I started off, oddly enough, as an auditor, but actually I've been in learning and development for more than 25 years, so more than a quarter of a century, which is very scary. And actually, after 10 years in L&D, I decided I wanted to set up my own business, which, as I think we all know, setting up your own business has a load of ups and downs along the way. You have your good years, your struggling years, you're having to think about how you adapt. And actually, 3 months into setting up my own business, I was diagnosed with cancer. So that actually really made me stop and think about what matters, how do I keep going? So there were an awful lot of resilience lessons there. Also, my background is that I've done quite a lot of work with cancer support charities. I've been on boards doing a lot of development work around that. So something I'm really passionate about. And also more recently, since the start of lockdown, also getting involved in food banks and, talking to people there about resilience and how people keep going. It's quite humbling sometimes. So yeah, lots of experiences around resilience and bouncing back. And I think for me, probably the most important thing that I would say around this is that I am a work in progress. I am not one of these people who go, yeah, I've got it all sorted. It's very much about I'm better than I was yesterday, but not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow.
And that's a really nice philosophy, isn't it? That you've always got a space to grow and get better at anything. And
yeah,
similar to you, I started actually out as an accountant in the corporate world, and I felt, that there's a high number of changes that take place, and I had quite a lot of pressurized roles. And I think on reflection, I had high expectations of myself, but also I think there was lots of high expectations from the business as well. So I think, weathering them storms took a lot of resilience. But for me, the top one, I've got 4 lovely children. But when I returned from maternity leave every time, it was really tough, just adapting to that and still having 4 children now. And, I've found myself unexpectedly being a single mum of 4 children, of which 3 are teenagers. And it's about, juggling all of that and being resilient. But I think more than that, sometimes we talk about resilience and it's just about getting by, and I wanted to get to a place where I was getting joy, and not just getting through, so that's been tough. And I think COVID's been tough on everybody, to be fair. We've spoken to a lot of people, haven't we, even in our research, and everybody's had, tough times with it, and had to adapt in some way. And also, because I'm a coach, it was really important to me as well to make sure I was resilient, because I love coaching, but you have to make sure you're present, you're listening. It's all about that person, loving them and being their cheerleader and really supporting them. And I think a bit like that analogy of putting your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. I think there is a lot in that, but I guess, when we talk about resilience, it could be so many things to different people, couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and I think we've learned more about resilience over time, and certainly, if I think about the work that I've been doing, say with the cancer support charity and others, we started looking at stress management 20 years ago. We didn't have that word resilience in any way. It was all about how do you manage stress, and then I think we went through that phase of that bounce back ability. That's the next part. And I always use the analogy of the Weebles. Remember Weebles? And that sort of thing that, you've got that. Yeah, you got a solid base, and they wobble, but they don't fall down, because as human beings we are going to wobble. If we don't wobble, you could argue that we're not really stretching ourselves enough, that we're not putting ourselves out there. So yes, we will wobble, but we want to have a solid base so that we don't fall down. So that bounce back ability, I think, has been sort of more that traditional way of looking at it, but it's still evolving, and it's still growing because potentially of all the challenges we face, I think.
Yeah, totally. And I always think it's a similar thing to the Weebles. It's about being water resistant. You don't stop the rain touching you, but how you respond to it, it's more waterproof. How I see it in my mind. And of course, with change, we are programmed for this way. Our brain wants certainty. It wants to predict the future. So whatever change we're going through, it is going to make us wobble in some way. But like you say, it's just that how we bounce back on that. And I definitely saw it when I worked in change management for a number of years. I'd done a number of transformation and change, and it's interesting because some people would just take it in their stride, other people will wobble, but generally, some people really did get stuck, and would catastrophize, and it's just their brain going. When we worry, it's all about wanting to predict the future, really. We want to say that when this happens, this is going to happen, and it starts at such a young age. When you touch that hole, it's going to hurt. So it's just how quickly and how we can change our perspective to get back into that place. And I do wonder, do you think there's a pace of change as well? It's a modern day. I think that's maybe why we talk about it a lot more. I mean, if you think years ago, even before the caveman scenario, but you'd get a letter, you'd consider it, you'd write one back, and you'd respond. And now you think about it, they went to email, and now on instant messages where you got a text back straight away. And our brain do need to process things. So I don't know what you think, but I think there's something around that pace of change.
Oh, definitely. I remember actually at the start of lockdown, it's like one of the plus points in lockdown was attending the CIPD conference, The World of Work.
Yeah.
And I remember being struck by the number of times that whole concept of the VUCA world came up.
Yeah.
That volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And I'll be honest, I hadn't really registered the whole VUCA world thing at that point. And then when you look into it and you realise that actually, it had its place from the Army's perspective, but it was starting to be used in business. And then suddenly it's everywhere because people are going, this is a great way to describe working in an environment that has got so much going on. We've got the pandemic, but the pace of change, everything else about it, that's just saying, it's a more challenging world out there, and we need to be able to be not just able to bounce back and to have that resilience, but actually we need to look at this pace of change, and we need to look at the things that are in front of us and go, okay, that's fine, I can deal with it, which is why we came up with the name I've Got This. It's that thing of, it's all right, whatever it is, I've got this, I have got this. You can put different emphasis on different words. It's like, I have got this, or I have got this. But the fundamental thing underneath it was giving people a bit of certainty back in a very uncertain world.
Yeah, because we can't stop things happening. And if that pace of change is only going to accelerate with all technology, and, all we can do is change the way we look at it and respond to it, so because it is uncertain world, and so I think it's just a future skill as well. And I think they said that at the conference, didn't they? Actually, the key skills now are going to be that agility and resilience, because we don't know what the future holds. And and the people we spoke to, didn't we, there's, when we're resilient, it can lead to such low self-esteem and your motivation, can't it? And then that in turn, you know, I've spoken to employers with this, and a high absenteeism, you know, productivity has been lost, and, you know, engagement, and that's just, you know, the impact from the world of work. But I think if you add that layer as well, because we know we use mental toughness and agility, don't we, interchangeably, and I think that mental toughness is a bit more about bring it on. So not just surviving, it's that thriving piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, where you're not, you know, you're more proactive. You don't wait for change to happen to you. You are the change. You know, you actively seek it out and find those opportunities. And I guess that makes us much more objective when we're doing things like problem solving or being creative and you know, being bold and taking risks. So, you know, resilience kind of impacts us in all sorts, certain ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, I don't know about you, but, you know, we see a lot of things nowadays actually about mental health and the well-being. So I guess, you know, how does that resilience and mental toughness fit in with that, do you think?
I think it's an interesting one. It will evolve over time. But certainly when I have conversations with people and with organizations about the work they're doing around mental health and well-being, a lot of that actually strikes me. It's about encouraging better communication. And, you know, communication is the bedrock of any organization, isn't it? If people can communicate well, then that's a really great start. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about, you know, it's about asking the additional questions, being open to being vulnerable, to saying what you need, as well as, you know, some of those sort of the standard things like the mindfulness, the sleeping, the eating, and understanding the impact of how we can look after ourselves better. But yeah, for me, I would say, so the mental health bit, a lot of it is about having those conversations and the way an organization is structured and how it leads and how it creates those opportunities for conversations. But then I think there is this additional layer that we can give people of the bring it on. And that is the mindset stuff, the mental toughness, that thing about, it's okay. You know, not only can I cope with the environment I'm in, but I am not fazed by whatever could be coming next. And I think that's where we're working with that resilient mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, like you say, it's that difference between, you know, that surviving and that thriving, you know, and that extra step. So, of course, we were in lockdown as well. And, you know, we've done a lot of work on this. But, of course, we then came up with the 6 cognitive habits that build that mental strength and resilience. So I just thought, for the purpose of this call, we thought, here's one we made earlier. If I just showed just a 1-minute video that talks about the 6 habits, and we can have a discussion about each one and why they're important.
Great.
Very proud about that.
I know, I was having a little proud moment there. It's like, I see one of the things we learned during lockdown, how to make videos. You know, it's one of those little things. So I think how we developed the habits, though, was really interesting. And, you know, at the start of lockdown, bearing in mind we're 150 miles away from each other, we were like heavily on Zoom. And we just have these conversations about, okay, well, what works, what what helps people to bounce back, what makes people resilient, what is it about them. And it was really noticeable that there were things we knew we should do, but we didn't always do. There were things that we'd seen working from our environment and from the businesses that we'd been in. And there were also the things that we knew innately were in us that helped us along the way. So when it came to the things we should do, I mean, we still say it, don't we? Value and care for yourself. I value and care for myself. Habit 2. I think we're pretty good at valuing ourselves now. That's been, a big part of us working on ourselves over the last couple of years. But the caring for ourselves, how many times do you or I have the conversation going, are you looking after yourself first? And I have to say to you sometimes, Cathy, I need you to be selfish for a moment. Because I know for you, that makes you stop and think for a second, because you sometimes think that caring for yourself is selfish because you've got so many other things to do. But actually, it's such an important part of what we need to do. And it's something we both consciously feel that we have to do, rather than we just naturally and unconsciously do it all the time. So for me, value and care for myself always resonates.
Yeah, totally. And I think as we're, starting up as well, that bold and courageous, it's funny being bold. People think it's a personality trait, but it's not. Anyone can choose right now to do anything they like. Everybody's got a choice right in this moment. And even doing this live, right? We just went, no, come on, let's be bold, let's be courageous, let's do it. And so that, again, really pushed us to try new things and continually push ourselves in uncomfortable situations sometimes as well. But actually, the more you do it, and the more you take new things in your stride. It's always just about taking that first step, isn't it? That's sometimes the hardest. And there was also ones we wanted to be there because we knew there was benefits of that. We think about open and generous to others. I've done a lot of work around positive psychology as well. And we all, as human beings, need to feel part of a herd. That's how we're made up. And again, in my experience of change management, you put a team of people who really collaborate with each other. They come up with new ideas. They support each other. They have this abundance mindset where they think there's enough, for everybody. And you see really successful things happen in that instance. But then you've got those fragmented teams where, people might go into survival mode, that survival of the fittest. And so being part of a herd and being open and generous to others isn't just a human need. We see it all the time together and all of that stuff. So I think that was one that had to be in there because
absolutely. And I think coming together as a community, as a group of people, absolutely essential. And it kind of links in very much with me saying I wanted that positive and optimistic in there, because it's, if I think of all the work that's been done at the Cancer Support Centre and done with all sorts of health and wellbeing charities out there, it is about coming together and supporting each other. And then it's about thinking about how you can have a mindset that helps your body. And being positive and optimistic, it has been proven that if you have that optimistic mindset, if you have a positive mindset, your body, your health will be better. So it's kind of one of these things, the mind works in a great way, and then actually you're helping your body to work in a great way too. A positive and optimistic outlook, it improves your heart health, it improves your immune system. It can have so many wonderful side effects, as it were, although they're not really side effects, they're absolutely benefits. And we kind of wanted to get that in there because there's proper scientific proof underneath just this phrase, being positive and optimistic, that says it's something you need. And then when we thought about it beyond that, we had the things that were innate to us, didn't we? So we both, I think probably you can tell from the fact of what we're doing here and also our backgrounds, we believe massively in personal growth. We do embrace change. We see it as being something, has the odd moment that's a little bit scary. I will say I'll have sometimes like a 5-second, hang on, that's changed, breathe, and then move on. But, you know, we recognize that, don't we? We just see that as being such an important part of us as human beings and how we get on. And then I think the motivated and driven was an interesting one when we really started exploring it, because we realised how different our motivation was, didn't we?
Yeah, totally. Well, you're about the journey, aren't you? And I'm all about the destination.
Yeah, I'm all like ticking things off. I'm like, yes, that's done. Yes, that's done. And then you're like, the big picture, this is the way it should be. And it's like, but then, you know, when you understand that, you understand how to keep yourself motivated, but you also understand how to keep the people that you're working with motivated as well. So we got that, and you know, that's why habit 5, I am motivated and driven, is so important. And then once we got our habits, it was about going, well, okay, these are our thoughts, but what out there says that, you know, these will work. And, you know, bringing in some of my NLP stuff, we started looking at the concept of modeling, and the idea of actually in NLP, you haven't created anything new, you just model the excellence that's already out there. And we could see all those examples, not just during the pandemic, but, you know, the role models that you and I both had. We could see those examples of people who embraced this way of thinking. And it's like, okay, we're getting some confirmation here that these things really will make a difference.
Yeah, and we looked at all those, you know, we looked at entrepreneurs, didn't we? And what mindset and attitudes they had, and those mentally strong people around us as well. And again, that difference between surviving and thriving. And what was interesting, we done quite a large research, didn't we, paper with a number of people across sectors, organisations, from small to large. And what we realised is that mindset isn't just about individual, although obviously it's very individual to us. But then you can see how, particularly, you know, the pandemic, you know, you've also got team mindset, you know, and resilience. And then you've got the leader's mindset that absolutely sets the scene and you know, provides that, you know, psychological safety in there. And then before you know it, actually, you've got an organisational mindset, you know, and that's that, you know, risk-taking, positives, you know, how you respond to things that haven't gone well. And, you know, we learned a lot from doing that white paper, didn't we? You know, as well in taking in like all the books and models and theories for people like Carol Dweck and the growth mindset, research from people like Seligman, people have read that, and Thomas Kilmann on the importance of values and purpose and that innate motivation. But what we realised, there wasn't anything that pulled it all together. So what these 6 thinking habits or cognitive habits do is pull that together, absolutely builds, you know, that mental toughness and resilience. And excuse me, we're all different, right? We're all different. So we, you know, even you and I, you know, there's things that we're better at than others. Like you say, checking in with me on things that, you know, I need to still work on. We all have to work on them.
No, nobody's perfect, are they? I'm conscious that you.
Sorry, I can't cover my throat. Then I will try to finish my sentence.
But I think it is one of these things about, you know, for us, let's focus on mindset, because we know that is the next level up. And, you know, I've been working in L&D for 25 years. It's getting longer all the time. And, you know, for me, when I used to do a lot of leadership training, negotiation skills training, all sorts, you would see that you could give people skills, and that was kind of like the easy bit. You could almost it's like giving them a little bag of things to do, but how they used those skills and what they did with them all depended on how they thought. Because if they thought this was something that they could use, something they could do, I mean, negotiation is a classic one on that, you know, if they thought, yeah, I can do this, then they take the tools out and they use them well. But actually, if there's a little thing going on in their head going, I'm not sure if I can do this, then all of a sudden, doesn't matter how many tools they've got, they're not going to use them properly. And I think, you know, it is one of these things, as one of my favorite thoughts is, thoughts, and that everything is created twice, that first in the mind and then in reality. And to me, that's why working with mindset is so important, that we're helping people to use the skills they've already got in a lot of cases, but to use them better, more effectively, and to really make them work for them.
Yeah, totally. And I worked in talent, and it's funny, we done a piece of work to identify who our talent was. And what I soon realised, and the conclusion I come to, everybody's talent. It's just that sometimes our mindset and attitude can hold us back. And you see a lot of stuff about the Great Resignation, the world of work. They say by 2030, a third of our roles will be significantly transformed or kind of be redundant, in some way. So you kind of think, oh my gosh, if this is the case, that our world's gonna be so different even by 2030, if we haven't got that agility, mental toughness, then actually we're going to really struggle with that change. And I think it's even more important than ever, and I think this came up at the CIPD conference as well, and I've seen a lot of things from Forbes and Deloitte, about the future of work. A lot of that is saying you've got to recruit a mindset and attitude, because you can learn skills, but you need to have that adaptability for we don't know what the world's going to look like, right? So
yeah,
and I guess that's why we call them habits for a reason, because we both got a learning and development background. Mine less so, than haven't quite done the 25 years in L&D, but it is about not just learning through education, exposure, experience. It was about we know it has to become habit. It's not just about education, particularly around mindset, which is why a lot of our development programs are a lot of self-awareness and reflection and some education, but then those nudges, that continuously practicing those before they become habit forming. Because even things like positive and optimistic, you're not going to turn around today and go, right, I'm really positive from now on, that's me done. All of these are just habits. So I think we consciously called them, I know we use it interchangeably, cognitive habits or thinking habits, because they have to become habits. They have to be habit forming. And
they do, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, for me, that's like sort of almost fundamentally what this all comes down to, is that actually it will take time, that you can build this, but you do it incrementally, bit by bit, creating these habits. But then two things happen. One, having now I've got this mindset is something that will actually not just help you in the workplace, that it's for life, across your life. And also it is for life. It literally will last you forever, because it's one of those things that you have that mindset, and then when the change comes, when things happen, you're able to deal with it. So you form those habits, you create something that change proofs you, in quotes, and the way you think, so that whatever that VUCA world brings on in the future, you're there and ready for it.
Yeah, totally. And I can't believe we're nearly out of time. I could talk about so much more. And, this is something that we've always wanted to do, really purposeful and, want to give back. So I guess on that theme, just closing off, if there's one thing, overall message you could leave somebody, on the people listening on this call, what would it be?
I would say be fair to yourself. I'm going back to that whole work in progress thing, that actually, as long as you can make a little change, work on it a little bit, you're better today than you were yesterday, but you've got that mindset that says, I can still work on it for tomorrow, because it's a lifetime of learning, but the mindset is the thing that's going to make the difference.
And I think for me, what really resonated is to say, we've got a background of this, but pulling this together is, you really can change the way you think, and your mindset. And that was a real revelation for me, on how much you can change your mindset. And there's a thing around, everyone feels fear. It's a natural reaction. But do you know what? People are doing stuff anyway, which kind of says to me, fear isn't the problem, is it? It's just about what you do with that fear. Do you use it as a power, a superpower, and make that choice and make the change and have energy and take action from it? or do you come from a pain perspective and almost surrender to it and, you know, get a bit helpless and stuck and retreat? So, you know, for me, I just think, you know, you can change the way you think. And I think there is a message I would give to people, you know, you've got this, you know, you really can offer a different perspective and all sorts of things, and particularly around them 6 habits. Yeah, that's been really fascinating. So if there's anybody who's got any comments, please.
No, we've got no comments for now.
Oh, well, I've seen one from Mary who says hello, which is lovely. I've got a
Clearly,
Mary.
you can see comments and I can't.
Oh, well, sorry. Yes. Feeling special. Thanks, Mary. She said, oh, it's very interesting. Longer session would be great. Oh, that would be amazing as well. So like I said at the top of the call, you know, we are going to be interviewing everybody each week from a variety of functions and sectors and backgrounds. And just to give some perspective, and, you know, and I hope that we can really help people build their resilience and give them insight. And if anybody in our network on LinkedIn actually wants to be a part of that and be one of our guests, we would love to hear from you. As always, you can get in touch with us on our website that I will flash up now. All of our details are on there. And it'd be lovely to hear from you. And I really hope you can join next week's live.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Bye.